I had a cheap ticket to go to Uganda. Somebody knew that I'd been to lots of developing countries. I backpacked for 4-6 weeks at a time. I wanted to see the gorillas, the mounted gorillas. So I booked a ticket and I found myself a driver. He introduced me to another friend who was actually in the army, Dennis. And Dennis took me around. I rented a vehicle from his boss and he took me to the national parks and we went down to the southwest to see his village. I met his family, I met his friends, and he had a small compound, a couple of acres of ground. And from his very small salary in the army, he was building like a bar, coffee shop and camping grounds because he had the idea that people going to the national parks perhaps could stay there overnight because it's about 6 hours drive from Kampala. And we got talking and I discovered he was a child soldier. He ran away and went in the army when he was about 12. I wanted to do some fundraising to help Dennis get this completed because his idea was that he needed to provide employment for people in his village. So I came back to the UK and did talks mainly, and any money I sent out to him, he sent me back photographs of what he'd done with it. And the following year, I went back again for a longer period. That time I met more of the village women and they said, would we start a nursery school? There wasn't one. Their children were able to start school at 7 in the government schools, but they weren't very good. There was an old chicken house there. We decided to start a nursery school in that. We cleaned it up, smartened it, got some activity, some books and things that we needed, and Dennis found a teacher and off we started with about 10 children. As the school began to grow, more and more children wanted to come in, but of course a lot of them being these subsistence farmers, they had very little cash. Some were bringing in beans instead of giving us cash. We'd got a couple of rooms for volunteers. We had a few people from abroad coming in to stay. They brought in a little bit of income. But one girl suggested that we started a support scheme for children. I didn't want to do individual sponsorship. It's not fair when some children are sponsored and some are not. We basically have a scheme where any international people can pay £10 a month, £20 a month, something like that, and help fund all of the children. It's equally divided between them. 2010, we had a couple come out there and they stayed with us for their honeymoon and had a lovely time. And then I discovered that the guy worked for a medical company and they were actually looking for a project in Africa to fund for a retiring director. He helped me fill in the application form and we won it. And they paid us about £50,000 over the next year or so. We ended up building this medical centre. We called it the McNeil Medical Centre. That was after this retiring director. We treat all our children at the school for free. All the village people come in and they can have free consultations and the cost of the drugs. If they're serious, we send them to the local hospital. This has enabled us to have medical electives from Europe, from UK. Medical students come out to Uganda for maybe a month and they alternate between helping in the medical centre where they get a lot of time with the doctors to understand. And then they also go down to the Itojo hospital and there they work with the local doctors and nurses and they learn a lot. So over the years, Uganda Lodge has grown and we've got accommodation. We've got about 20 or more individual rooms and our volunteers, it's very flexible. They can choose what they want to do. You can do a little bit of volunteering. You can learn African dancing. You can learn how to make baskets out of papyrus, help paint a classroom. Anybody can put some paint on a brush and paint a classroom wall. You can go milk a cow, help the cowboy take the cows up into the field. You can go and help builders make some brick, put your name on a brick. There is so many different opportunities, different things to do if you are interested in volunteering at Uganda Lodge, if you're interested in a holiday with a difference, if you want a safari that perhaps might not break the bank. You get very, very close to all the animals. More importantly, you meet so many of the local people, so many of the children. A lot of people, when they come to Uganda, find they're going back again and again. See the website ugandalodge.com and download the information booklet.